One thing that the Church takes little notice of is Jesus' command that Christian leaders should not be called by honorific titles. He gave examples of titles that he rejected: rabbi, father, instructor, and he suggested that instead they should be called servants. He criticised the Pharisees, who loved the places of honour at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogue. And suddenly I feel guilty too, because I love the few occasions when this happens, and churches generally do the opposite of what Jesus taught about pride, because all three terms prescribed by Jesus are equivalent to ones that we use today. Rabbi literally means my master, though later it came to mean teacher, and it's an honorific title like sir or reverend. The title father was an even greater designation of respect, because elders and especially parents were given great deference in New Testament days. And this title father is still used by some, including Catholic churches. It carries the same respect as elder, which is used in many other churches. The word Matthew used for instructor, kathegetes, was relatively rare and meant teacher, or perhaps the best modern equivalent for this word is doctor or professor. Jesus gave a personal and practical example that no one could ignore. He acted out the role of a servant when he washed his disciples' feet. He even regarded his servant role as essential for our salvation. He said, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus says, in effect, that it's not only his death that saves us, but the life that he lived as a servant. His whole life, including his death, was given to serve others. Jesus' rejection of honorific titles wasn't just for others, because he called himself by the lowest title imaginable. He called himself Son of Man. In Aramaic, this is a phrase that meant just an ordinary person, an ordinary man. If you wanted to say that you met someone today selling oranges, you'd say, "I met a son of man selling oranges." It means just someone. Of course, for us, it reminds us of the glorified Son of Man in Daniel 7, but the whole point of using the phrase in that passage is to indicate that this was an ordinary human who was glorified by God. Jesus uses this phrase to signify that he's fully human, and in that sense, ordinary. But his followers always avoided using Son of Man when talking about Jesus on earth, because they thought it was just too demeaning. Humility is a virtue that's regarded as an antidote to the terrible vice of pride throughout the Bible. But the only practical command we have concerning this is Jesus' teaching on titles. And the early church took Jesus' teaching in this area seriously. They did inherit some titles from the synagogue, such as elder and priest, but when the church later invented their own titles, they chose deacon and minister. That is, the Greek and Latin words for servant. Even apostle merely meant a messenger. It was only someone who was important if they carried an important message. Our society loves titles and self-promotion. We're expected to sell ourselves at every opportunity, from employment resumes to conversations at parties. And often we find cunningly self-effacing ways to communicate how qualified, skilled, or experienced we are without appearing to boast. And if we don't have formal qualifications, well, we boast about our fitness, our possessions, our prospects, our relationships. But one day, heaven will reveal the true value of our lives, and our boasting will burst like bubbles. God bless.